everyone, this is Bob Sorrentino from Italian Roots and Genealogy, and I'm here. Well, before I'm here, let me just mention our great sponsors: Italy Rooting, Abitativa Casa, and Phil Italy. Phil does great trips there, and check us out on our YouTube channel, of course, and our Facebook group, Italian Roots and Genealogy. And today I got couple of guests that come from my hometown, or my mom's hometown, Torito, Italy, Ted Luccarelli and Cindy Lombardo. So welcome, guys. Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for having us.
No, it's my pleasure, my pleasure. And we were supposed to have a couple of others on. Maybe they'll join. If they do, that's great. In any event, here we are. So Ted, we were just talking. You're kind of new to this, correct?
Oh yeah, just months.
And so what got you started?
Searching for Cindy is my cousin, so searching for our grandfather's real history, because he was should I repeat the story I told you before?
Yes, yeah.
He was a business guy on Long Island in 1918 when he got married to my grandmother before he went into war, and changed the spelling of his name somewhere between 1918 and 1920. Or maybe he changed it. It's very convoluted because he's in a census with the wrong spelling, which is the way I have my name spelled here is not the on my birth certificate. That's my grandfather's spelling. Our spelling was Lukralle, which he changed to kind of hide his Italian heritage or whatever, because Italians were not the most popular minority. Well, we know what immigrants go through coming into this country these days. I imagine it might not have been as bad then, but it was probably enough to have him screw up his spelling of his name. So that's what he did, and that's why I got into it, trying to figure out it, and I found a bunch of stuff. And Cindy and I want to go to Torito, too. We want to walk in town, and we just want to go there.
Absolutely. I was always told growing up by Teddy's father and my father and brothers that he wanted to Americanize. He didn't want he didn't want to be associated. He wanted to be an American, and that's why he put the K in there and Americanized the name. Were you told that, Teddy?
Yeah, that's the story that I was. But when I talked to that woman, Angela DiMaggio, who's literally you're my second cousin. Her grandfather and our grandfather were brothers. So she's our second cousin. She told me the story and how she came out to Grandma's house in Huntington.
That's wild.
And Grandma said, when you get there, don't worry, just walk in. I always leave the door unlocked, and there'll be a pie on the shelf above the sink. And that's literally, I remember that.
Absolutely.
And the hairs are standing up on my arm, and this woman's telling me this story. And she's 89, this woman. She's not, I mean, I'm 70, but she's 89.
Now, did you guys know each other before, or you met through this?
Me and this woman?
No, you and Cindy.
Oh yeah, we're cousins.
So you knew each other.
Oh yeah. We were every Christmas together.
Oh, okay. No, I knew you were cousins, but I wasn't sure.
No, we all grew up
through some way.
Yeah. We lived, miles apart. Yeah.
So when did your grandfather get here? When did he arrive?
1908 and then 1911. The 1908 one has little notes about why people. I can't really tell from it. It has little notes on the thing about why people didn't get it. It'll say like formerly arrested for a crime, or something about financial or something or other. It's.
But he was.
You had you need $25 to get in the country back then or something. It was
yeah, I don't even know if it was that much. Yeah, but it was very little. It was very little. I know that.
But he was a kid, just a kid, right, Ted?
Oh yeah. 19. I know he got in 1911. He was only 16 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was 1895. He was born, and he was the youngest of those, either 11 or 14 siblings, or maybe 3 of them are half siblings. The whole thing with his father is now I'm up at the next level where I need to find out about this Raphael guy.
So you said neither one of you there. I went there for the first time last year. I was supposed to go there. We went to Italy for the first time like 30 years ago almost, and I was supposed to meet my cousin in Torito because he was going to Italy, and we were living in England at the time. And then, there were no cell phones or any of that stuff. And some plane crashed like a couple of days before he was supposed to come, and he chickened out. So we didn't know what happened. So obviously we didn't go. And now we just we went recently. And you mentioned Rocco, Rocco Mercurio. Rocco's been just fantastic. I mean, with me and with helping with everything.
Oh yeah, he sent me when I put something on his Facebook. I don't know if it was through here, and then I saw his name because it's a name like Mercurio, because I know somebody with that name, so it really caught my eye. So when I connected with him on Facebook, also he's speaking Italian and I'm speaking English, or writing Italian and writing English. I asked him for information, and he sent me back a list of all the Luccarellis in Torito. It was an Excel sheet, and it had the year and the number in the document where I could find him. So I have a spreadsheet set up now with all the years from 1820 to 1900 with a click link where I click on this link and I go to that antennae or whatever that word is, that web page.
Yeah.
And it goes right to that year, and I can see. And they're brilliant. They were very brilliant then. They put in the first 4 pages as the index. So I just go to the L's, and I look. If I see a Luccarelli, then it tells me what page is on in that document, which could be 500 pages, and then I can see it or clip it, and then that's when the fun starts. Now, I've been trying to put it into Chat GPT and have it converted, but a lot of that is all nonsense, and sometimes I'm better off just going on the Facebook thing and just putting the page in there, and people translate for me that really know how to read Italian.
I've done some of that Chat GPT. Some things it does okay, but yeah, I'm the same way. I mean, I had a lot of stuff done years ago. But my grandparents came in 1915, and I think they were going to go back because they left my uncle there. He was like 2 or 3 years old, and they never went back, and he didn't come until like 35 years later. So he lived there with his family. They grew up there, and they came in 1950. So, but I'm trying to get
50.
Yeah, my uncle came in 1950. My grandparents came in 1915.
Oh, okay.
So he hadn't seen his parents in 35 years, and he had never met his brothers and sisters until he got here. He went to Canada first, and then brought his family into Canada. They had to wait there like 4 years or something like that before they were allowed into the country. But when we were going, I had the tour set up with, but she didn't do the tour for us, but somebody that set up my first tour. She's from Puglia and not far from Torito. So she had made the connections with the mayor and Rocco. So when we got there, they took us to the Comune. And so if you go and you talk to Rocco, will bring you there and find the original documents. They gave me a whole bunch of stuff.
Have you met him?
Yeah. That's how I met him. I didn't know him before I got there.
Is he an eggplant farmer?
No, he was actually the police chief.
Oh, really?
He never gets hired. He was actually.
He put something on Facebook today that he got bit by a viper. Did you see that?
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Wait,
it's hysterical.
Teddy, how did you meet him? I mean, how did you hook up with him?
On the Facebook group.
Okay.
Or maybe he messaged me through. No. Once I found. I don't know. Why did you start this? Specifically Torito genealogy group on Facebook. I mean, when I saw that, I said, "Oh my God!"
Yeah, well, that was the one. Mark Savoia. That's Mark Savoia. He's the one. So yeah. So I believe Rocco is on that group, and he's also on my group. But I had never known him until we got there, and then he's like now. Probably the town historian and certain, for lack of a better word, that's what he does. And
is he like 70 or 69 years old or something like that?
Probably somewhere in that range. Yeah.
Because I noticed his email address was R. Mercury something 55.
Yeah. So
and I'm born in 54, so I know he's probably 1 year younger than me. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm 51, so a little bit older than me.
Yeah.
But he's just great. I mean, he was with us the whole time there and took us all around. And then originally I was going to get the citizenship through my father, and now I couldn't even do that because they changed the law. So I'm going through my mom's family, and I said, I need this record and that record, and they gave me the original copies of it, and anything you need. You're a son of Torito, and we're gonna when you need the paperwork done, whatever you need, we're here to help you. So they've just been super. I've been trying, and I said this to him, uh, and the parish priest Don Nicola. I'll say it Italian way, Don Nicola. I always say Nicola, which is not the way of saying it. Um, he he's not open to letting people review the records. He won't even let Rocco do it. And I told him, I said, Rocco, I said, the church could make a lot of money on this. I said, there's so many of us out there that would, if he would allow or hire somebody to look at the church records, we'd pay him for it.
Yeah.
Because the church records, from what I understand, go back to like 1600 or something like that, or at least 1600.
Really?
And the church is beautiful. I don't have either one of you been to Italy yet?
Yes.
No.
Yes, I have.
Yeah. Well, so Cindy, the churches.
Oh,
the churches are
incredible.
magnificent, even in these small little
Incredible.
towns.
It's
Yeah, isn't it something?
It's just incredible.
Isn't it something? So that's the thing. But he took us all around the tour of the church and everything like that. I got to, I found out. Well, I knew through my cousins where my grandparents lived, and then later my uncle lived in the same house. And it was like, and what my uncle describes, it was 2 rooms. There was a room for my aunt and uncle, I guess before that, my grandmother and grandfather, and then another big room that had, the fireplace and the kitchen table, and that's where all the kids slept. And so my cousin described it as there was a room for my parents, and then a room for the kids, and there was always the newest baby stayed in the room with my uncle and aunt. And she said there was always a new baby. But Ted, you were saying about the naming. So why don't you repeat that? I guess it was one of the uncles. They kept naming the baby the same thing, right?
No, it was my grandfather.
Oh, your grandfather.
It was Filippo. I have it right here. The first one was born in 1864. 1884. There was one born and didn't make it out of the year. There was another one in 1891. Another one in 1892. Then he was born in 1895. So there were 3 previous ones, and then there were sisters. There were 2 Maria Luigi's. One didn't make it out of the year, and then there was another one later.
That's really something. That's, like I said, my mother's Uncle Dominic was the same thing. And I always thought I was hearing Italian growing up, but I wasn't hearing Italian. I was hearing Barese, right? And my mother's Uncle Dominic, he wasn't Zio Domenico. He was Imanguch. That's because Gooch is like I guess a nickname for Dominic, and so I didn't know any better. That's what they said it.
Oh, Gooch. It means Dominic.
It's kind of like a nickname. It's kind of like a nickname. So
my brother-in-law, who's Sicilian, always uses the term Uncle Gooch. He calls it.
Yeah. So his name is probably Dominic. His name is probably Dominic.
Oh, okay.
So it should be, if you're going to do the right pronunciation, Zio Domenico, but they always call them Zimanguch. and I'm trying to learn a little bit of Italian now, and I'm learning, about the dialects. When we were in Calabria, they were singing this song, and I wanted to learn it, and so I was able to get the chords down, but I couldn't understand the words, so I asked them to send it to me, and they printed it out, and it was like no language I ever saw. It was almost like, and not surprisingly, it was almost like Greek, when you looked at it phonetically.
Yeah, unless you're Greek.
Unless you're Greek, yeah, or you're Calabrian, then it doesn't matter. But we found So Cindy, were you just you didn't go to Torito though, right?
No,
When you were
no,
there?
I didn't. The closest I got was Naples. Yeah, we did. We went. I went with my two daughters, 2019, and we did a tour. So we started in Venice and then worked our way down and ended up in Sorrento and then left from Naples. So I never did get over to Bari.
Yeah, well, yeah, and there's that's a big difference between Naples and Bari because Naples, as you know, is gray and darker in a big city and everything. Naples, I mean Bari, the old city was just
I
stunning
can't
because it was
wait.
everything's white, everything's white, all the stone is white, the and very very safe. I mean we were out, not that we were out that late, but you
Did,
walked along the river and there were people there with old people, young people. It was really really nice,
did
really
that
really
change
nice.
recently? Because I remember hearing years ago that Bari was a real crap town. It was crime was bad. There's really not much touristy kind of things to do there, and
Well, there's enough tourist stuff to do.
this is
I
10
mean,
years
but what's good about it there, what's good about Bali is that you could get to Torito, for example, by train in like a half hour. You could get to Matera in like an hour. There's all these places along the coast, so
ago.
it's a good base if you want to go see other things. You don't have to drive. You could get on the train and things like that. I mean, we had a driver take us to Torito because I wanted to go to my grandfather was also from Acquaviva dell'Infante, so I wanted to go there too. And that's a really small town. We got there at siesta time, and there was literally nobody on the street, not a person in the entire town on the street.
And where is that? Is that Bari?
It's Acquaviva dell'Infante. It's yeah, maybe by car, 15
Oh,
minutes
okay.
from Torito.
Yeah,
And the other place that we used to hear about growing up, I never heard Torito. I always heard
Yeah,
Bari.
me too.
yeah,
Us
I
too.
was,
yeah. Us,
yeah, it was
yeah.
always later that it was maybe like when I started. That's when I heard. No, when I heard when we were going to Italy the first time, I did hear about that it was that they were from Torito.
So your
Um,
father, just to go back a second, your father came here in 1915.
no, my grandfather
Or your
came in
grandfather?
1915 from my
Okay,
mother's family, and my uncle came in 1950.
in 50. Right. Okay.
And my father's parents came around the same time. They came 1915 also, although they were from Naples, so they didn't know each other
Yeah.
obviously. Um, but um, there's there's enough in Torito. There's of course the Church of Saint Nicholas there, which is a nice thing. They have the bones of Saint Nicholas and that kind of nonsense. There's a big, well, most of the port towns. There's a big like castle there that you could go through, which is pretty nice. Uh, there's a big plaza right by the waterfront where they have all the restaurants and everything. That was
Yeah.
really nice. So, I mean, it's there's probably 2 or 3 days worth of stuff that you could do right there. But like I said, the train station is not far from. We stayed in the old town, and it's maybe like a mile and a quarter tops to get to the train station if you're walking. So,
Hmm.
uh, and but as far as safety, we didn't feel unsafe at all. I mean, I guess it's like any other city. There's probably places you're not supposed to go, but we didn't come across any of that. So,
It's like New York City. There's a lot of places we're not supposed to go, but we go there anyway.
and you go anyway. Yeah.
Right, you're just
Um,
aware of what's around you. Yeah.
That's where the theaters are.
yeah. Yeah. Well, and there's a couple. We didn't go to the theater in Bari, but there's a couple of nice ones there. Naples, I didn't feel really unsafe. My wife was a little concerned, but again, we're not out late at night and walking through the streets and stuff like that.
I didn't feel
I felt
unsafe
pretty
anywhere.
safe there.
Anywhere I
You
was.
didn't?
Not. And when I was up in Venice, they're little narrow, there's no cars, obviously, little narrow, ways you walk, and it's like there's nobody around them. Never felt unsafe at all.
And when we were in Naples, I mean, we were under the care of uh, Letizia, who had set up our tour and everything like that. So I wasn't the least bit worried. And um, she told us go here and go there. But like I said, my father's family my grandfather was born in Pagani, which is outside of Naples, and my grandmother was born in Circola, which is just outside of Naples too. But both of them at some point in time eventually wound up, living in Naples. So Ted, what got you started? I know you retired and you had nothing to do, but I'm sure that wasn't the only reason.
Well, so, I've been spending more time with Cindy and her brother the last couple of years on vacationing and stuff like that, and I just started to get a little more interested in, who the hell is this Luccarelli guy? And,
with the K, which doesn't exist in Italian.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
And if you don't believe that, just look at the birth records for a year. It goes A and B. So there's like hardly any, or maybe there's some S. It skips right by K. I've looked at every year from 1830 to 1900. There's never been a K anywhere on any of those documents. No. Well, so he did the right thing by putting the K in there.
He knew what he was doing.
I don't know.
Well, maybe somebody told him because maybe we just the Americans just weren't pronouncing it right, and he wanted it to be pronounced right, so he put the K in there. Who knows?
Who knows?
And he didn't do it. It wasn't a legal thing. He just woke up one day, right, Teddy, and said, "You know what?
Yeah, I can't find any. I don't know how to research that, but I don't think he did. All I know is I look. He just to simplify it, and I'll say Luccarelli versus Luccarelli. He got in 1918. He went in the army as Luccarelli. Then he got married as Luccarelli. Then 2 years later, he's in the town of Huntington census, back as Luccarelli. Except then he's called Philip Luccarelli, not Filippo. So he went Filippo Luccarelli to Philip Luccarelli to Philip Luccarelli, and and before, I mean, your father died how many years ago? 10 years ago, maybe
12.
So, okay, 12. And my father died just a couple of years. None of them believed any of this stuff, except your father was a little more. My father wouldn't believe. He said that's not true. No. If any of them were alive now, and even your father, if we said, did you know that there were 12 other siblings? They'd say, no. There's just Ralph.
I don't.
That's what we ever heard of.
No, I heard of a sister.
Oh, really?
I heard of a sister, Rose DiMaggio.
Ted, you mentioned DiMaggio.
Yeah, that Grandpa had a sister, and she was in Staten Island. That's all. And when I say I heard that, I probably was 15 when I heard that a couple of years ago. So,
a couple of years ago.
And when you're young, oh yeah, that's nice. I never paid any attention. But because Kip and I growing up, my brother and I growing up, used to say, "Oh, we're related to Joe DiMaggio."
and that woman I spoke to, Angela, who's 89, who's our second cousin. I said, "Oh, it's a DiMaggio. That means you got into any club you wanted in the 50s." He says, "Oh, she says you wouldn't believe it. How many people thought we were related to Joe DiMaggio?"
Well,
we used to tell them,
"Yeah." Kip and I used to tell everybody in high school, "Yeah, that's my Uncle Joe."
There was a restaurant in Flushing, DiMaggio's. It was actually Joe DiMaggio's, but it wasn't Joe DiMaggio. That was just his name.
Yes, it was.
But yeah, it was quite a.
But that's all I heard about is Ralph and a sister. I thought it was Rose DiMaggio, but nothing else.
Well, he had a daughter named Rose. Raphael had a daughter named Rose and a son named Luigi.
Okay.
And then there's all the siblings, and that's where this Linda DiMaggio and Angelina, whatever her name is.
So maybe
Angela,
I got it.
They're children of the Luigi DiMaggio, which is Raphael's. That's why he's their grandfather. But there's all these other ones in here too.
Now, how about your mothers? Were both your mothers?
No, my mother.
No.
No, so they're not.
My mother's Scottish.
And I found a bunch of stuff. I found a bunch of stuff on Ancestry on mine, and I started to fill in some of your mother's stuff too.
Me, yeah, my mother's.
Yeah.
His mother was Irish. Was your mother 100% Irish?
My mother?
Was she 100% Irish?
She was 50% Irish, and this is where you have a problem. You probably run into this, Bob. My mother's father was Irish. I thought he was born in Ireland. He wasn't. He was born in Manhattan, but his parents were. He came here. He came here and was born, and like 1 year later, when the whole family of 14 came, and he was a twin. They were like two sets of twins. The reason Ancestry is in business is because of the Italians and the Irish. Because when you start to research, each
Oh,
one of
yeah,
them
the
has
Puerto
14
Ricans.
kids.
My wife is Puerto Rican. She has more cousins than you could ever imagine.
Really?
I think every American well, they are Americans, but I think every Puerto Rican has done Ancestry, but she's got 10 or 20 times more cousins than I have, because the Italians don't do it. So,
Well, anyway, what I found with my mother, my mother's, and I was going to say, if you ever had a problem when you're researching, finding this, my mother's mother was adopted.
Oh, I never knew.
And I don't know what her name really was. I never knew. You remember my
I don't
grandmother?
remember.
She was
That's
adopted.
the first time hearing that.
Oh yeah, she was
I
adopted.
didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't know, and it's either from Germany or maybe not, and I don't know. It's a weird scenario,
Huh.
but you know, my grandfather being Irish, and even actually the English too, because my mother's father was born in Liverpool. When I went up his family tree, you get to the point in the early 1800s where 5 generations in a row, the guy's named James Whitfield. First son, James. Next, he has a kid, James. He has a kid, James. He has a kid, 5.
Jeez.
Almost as bad as 4 Filippos.
yeah.
But I understand that.
It's like going to my in-laws for Christmas.
And,
Somebody says Sal, and
and
everybody
so you haven't found any you haven't been able to find anybody through Ancestry that from that line from your
My mother's
yeah
mother.
yeah.
No, because I'm not sure of her. I'm not sure of her maiden name.
But I'm saying, you didn't like find any cousins that like.
Oh yeah, actually yeah. A weird thing happened where actually my daughter Sarah is married to Michael. One of Michael's cousins is married to one of my cousin's kids. It's like they're twisted related. It's not a direct line. It's an arc.
No wonder.
Remember the family that owned the hardware store in Elwood?
Yeah,
Do you remember
yeah,
that years ago?
yeah.
Yeah. One of their kids is married to Michael's
Oh, that's funny.
cousin or something. I don't know. It was very
Funny.
strange. But I keep going back far enough in this Ancestry. I want to get to Genghis Khan. That's when I know I can cancel my prescription or subscription. It should be prescription.
Well,
Yeah, you should.
you know how far I go back, right? Have you seen how far I go back?
I don't know. I don't know how to look on the Ancestry. I don't know how to look at your page.
So yeah, oh yeah. My page is public, so it's Bob Sorrentino 13.
But how do you do that? I mean,
You do. There's I don't remember exactly where it is now, but there's a place where you could do a membership search. And if you put in Bob Sorrentino 13, it should come up.
search, member search. Is it one word?
Yeah, it should be
I
all
see that.
together. It should be
Yeah.
all together. But my paternal grandmother is from 2 noble families, so I could trace direct back to Genghis Khan is a little sketchy because things get but proven and verified by several genealogists. I could trace back to Rollo and the Duke of Normandy and Charlemagne and a whole raft of other people. Because for her last name, her mother's last name was Caracciolo, and that's like an extremely, even today, it's an extremely famous family.
Wow.
And Cindy, there's the Via Caracciolo right along the water in Naples. If you know, that's my grandmother's family.
Wow, that's cool.
And yeah, and that was that was kind of a surprise. And and the interesting thing about that, my mother's family being poor farmers from Torito, and my father's mother coming from that line, they never would have they wouldn't have touched base in Italy. That's for sure.
That's so funny.
So I have tons of cousins in Italy because on my grandmother's side, actually both my father's parents, nobody came, not too many came, and I just got after. That's why I tell people never give up. You don't know what's going to happen. Just keep hanging in there. I got a photograph sent to me on Facebook, message to me from somebody, and he said, I'm your cousin. And he sent a picture of my grandparents and my oldest uncle and two oldest aunts. And I have the same picture, but I knew this was different because the corner was ripped off. And I found out that just found this out, never knew this, that my grandfather had two more brothers and two sisters in Italy that stayed behind. And I have relatively close cousins, like second cousins there on the Sorrentino family, which I never knew about. So, it's the stuff is, well, I've said this before, but I'm a firm believer in, the answer, they want to be found.
Yeah.
And some of us are just kind of, we have to find them, I have all my Toritto ancestors going back to like 1806 or actually a little bit further because, they have the parents' names on things. So probably back as early as 1750 or something like that.
Wow.
And I think I have Mercurio, I have Macchia, I have my mother's maiden name was Nicoletti. And trying to think of some of the other ones. But yeah, I have a bunch from Toritto out there. But Toritto, we're lucky in Toritto that a lot of the records have been filmed and indexed.
Oh, they're digitized really nicely too. Because I've gone on something Del Cole is another town right near there. Because one of the things that Mercurio sent me was one of my relatives was actually born there, so I had to go on there, and the scans are not as good. I think if they scanned stuff 10 years ago, the quality's not going to be as good as if they scanned it last year.
Well, that's been out there for a long time. I think it's probably down to a couple of things. It's probably down to whoever was doing the filming in the first place, maybe, and how good they were with the camera that they were using.
Yeah.
Like that. So it could just be as simple as that.
Whether they left the clip on top of one of the pages or not when they took the picture. I've seen that a few times.
I mean, my handwriting is horrible, but all of my relatives have the guy who couldn't write.
Oh yeah, but you know what? It's not just Italy. It had, although they were Italian, they wrote in Ellis Island when they're getting off the boats over here.
Yeah.
You know how we learn how to make letters like this? I'm trying to do it up and down. Every Italian writes like this. And the script, they're folded on top of each other. And it's no wonder AI can't figure it
out. That's part of it. But, AI, that's going to evolve. The AI will evolve.
Oh, I'm sure.
The thing that, like I said earlier, the thing that really, I wish they could get into the churches and do some of this. I mean, some of the churches, I talk to people in some of the churches over there, they're very willing. They'll let you write in. I mean, one person, he was from Sicily. The priest gave him the key to the storeroom and said, actually what he told them was, you can't bring any food, and I could only leave you in there if I lock you in. So he locked him in the room for like 4 hours or something like that, and then he came back and let him out because he didn't. I guess he didn't want him taking anything out.
That's why.
But yeah, and then others, and the same thing with the comunes. Some of them are like really, really nice. Toritto, you wouldn't have any problem if you go to Toritto and Rocco's there. He'll get you right in there.
Rocco said if I do, because I was planning a trip, which I don't know if I'm doing yet, which is going to go through Amalfi Coast and over there. They come over to Bari and then go down to Sicily, which is where my wife's family from. And I would only have 1 day in Bari. No, 2 days. 2 days in Bari and one in Matera, I think.
Yeah, Matera's
And I
incredible.
wanted to know from Rocco whether I could get out to Torito pretty easily because I'm looking on a map, and if I can rent a bike, I'll ride my bike out there. Because I don't, it's only 25 kilometers, 15 miles or something like that. And he says, "Oh yeah, you could do that, but if you come, don't come on Saturday or Sunday because
Yeah,
the place is closed."
the place is closed. Yeah,
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 I just want to go there and just
Yeah.
I want the hair to stand up on my arm again.
it's just it's just.
With you
I
I
mean, I
saying,
had to
know. I
go
want to
because,
go.
but my family growing up, they used to, and I don't know if you guys ever heard of I heard of this sausage from Torito called chivalet. It's Chivalet, I think it is. And we grew up on that. It's lamb, cheese, and parsley, and it's a thin sausage. And we would have barbecues in my grandmother's backyard, and my uncle would be there. You would get a sandwich and then go back on the line while you're eating the first sandwich to get the second sandwich. So we were in Torito, and my cousin's wife, her family is still there. They don't live in Torito, but they live in the town nearby. And her cousin picked us up and took us there, and took us to lunch, and we're in Torito having lunch, and he said, "What do you want?" And we will have a first course. We'll have pasta, and then he said, "What do you want? And you want steak, or you want this?" I said, "Do they have the chivallad?" And he goes, "I don't know. I'll ask." Well, I'll send you the restaurant. This was the best I've ever had. It was, and apparently other places make it, but Torito is known for it, and it was just fantastic. It was just fantastic. But they would, I mean, the mayor was great to us. They welcomed us to the town hall and all of that kind of stuff, and brought us for coffee, and then they brought us to Torito is known for almonds,
yeah,
so they brought us to the almond uh, um, farm slash factory or packaging place, whatever you want to call it. So that was really cool too. So we spent, I guess, the better part of a day there, and then, like I said, driving back, we hit Acquaviva dell'Infanti, and there's another place that you guys may not have heard of, which is like, I guess it's a town, but maybe a smaller town where they would go in the summertime and picnic, called Quasano. And it's something that I had heard of growing up, and that's right near Bari also. You
yeah.
know, you
Is there some truth? I've heard stories from people that said when they went back to Italy, you returning from the United States as a former Italian that left, and there seemed to be some kind of animosity towards. No, you never heard any of that. I had two different people tell me that. It
I
wasn't
didn't.
terrible. Don't think that they're going to welcome you and say, "Oh my, we're so happy to have a Luccarelli walk into Torito." They said,
I,
"Don't."
I'll be honest. I haven't. I
Okay,
haven't run across any of that. I mean, certainly I didn't, and I don't think, and certainly nobody I interviewed. And I interviewed a lot of people. They all say just the exact opposite.
okay,
That they love to see us because, um, in some cases they know. I mean, I've heard of people that they're walking down the street, and somebody would say, "Who are you?" Because they know right away we're not from there, and they would say,
the way
"My
we
name."
dress.
Yeah, and the mannerisms, and you got
Yeah.
the camera and all that. So, but they would, if you were Torito and you say Luccarelli, they might bring you someplace. And, oh, Luccarelli's over here.
That's what I want.
Yeah.
That's what I want. And I want to miss the tour that I'm on. I'm going to say, forget about it. I'm staying here.
uh, uh, if I knew today, if I knew 25 years ago what I knew today, I would have had a place there. I would have owned
Yeah.
something in Italy. I mean, I love it. If you go there and you have the chance, we went to in Calabria, this city right on the sea, called Sheila, and it was beautiful. But I want to ask you. So you said your mom's family's from Sicily? Did you say your mom? Oh,
My,
your wife. So
my wife,
what part?
Messina.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we spent I don't know, half hour or an hour in Messina waiting for the driver to pick us up to go to Cefalù and then Palermo. But my wife's on the other side. Her family's from Shaka.
Okay.
total on the total other side. Messina's a nice. It's a nice. What we saw of it, it's really pretty. It's a nice
I've
place.
talked to people that have been to Sicily and say this is absolutely wonderful.
Sicily, when you drive around Sicily, you look to the right and you see the sea, and you look to the left and you see the mountains.
Yeah.
And you just, it's really, really pretty. Palermo, Palermo was nice, and Cefalù was really, really nice. Really nice place, and that's like I don't know, maybe 2 hours from Messina, something like that by car, an hour and a half, something like that. But it was
Yeah,
really
my
nice town,
husband's
and
family's from Palermo.
yeah, Palermo's
Lots of
nice, and
food.
I have friends in Italy everywhere now, and Francesco 007. If you want to, so if you need help in Sicily, you call Francesco. He does that. But he was, I did interview him, and I said we're coming, and all of that, and you come, I'll meet. Where you going to be? I said, well, we're going to stop in Cefalù. He's like 20 minutes from there. He took us all around Cefalù, and he bought us lunch, and he's just a fantastic guy. And he's actually trained as a lawyer. His name's Francesco Curioni, for people listening in Sicily, 007 Italian Records. And he trained as a lawyer, and he did research for somebody kind of just as a favor. And he did such a good job that people were saying, hey, you should do this. And so now that's what he does for a living. And he's a really, really nice young guy. But yeah, so when are you thinking of going?
Maybe in October, or maybe I'll wait till the year after that when I'll talk Cindy into
If
going.
you wait till the
I know the end of this.
if you wait till 2026, I'm going. Because I can't go
Yeah,
this year. I got a wedding in May.
I get it. I get it.
But yeah,
I'm going to have another granddaughter in about 2 months. So,
Oh, great!
I didn't
Congratulations.
know
That's
that.
super. That's super.
oh yeah, Brian's wife's having a baby. I
No,
told you
you
that.
did
Or what?
not.
Sorry about that.
That's good.
Well, you know now. You
Yeah,
know
And this
now.
girl, that's wonderful.
yeah, yeah,
Congratulations.
yeah.
And Cindy, you said your mother's. Did you say Scottish?
Scottish, 100% Scottish. Well,
Yeah, that's like my Aunt Margie. All my uncles and aunts married Italians, except my uncle Victor, who was the youngest. He married my aunt was she was Scottish.
oh, her family was up in
Um,
arms when she was going to marry an Italian. But yeah, yep, she's 100%.
Margie McKay. Her last name was McKay. And yeah, she was. I don't know if she. I don't know. I don't know if she was. I think she was some kind of model. I don't know if she was like that was a profession, or that stopped when she got married or whatever. But she was very, very pretty. I mean, they all would have been. I guess like all our parents, everybody would have been 100 now.
Yeah,
Or more.
yep, or more.
Blows me away when I think of my grandparents would have been like close to 150, and
Yeah,
my great grandfather would have been like 170
it's
years old. I mean, that's
crazy.
nuts.
Yeah.
Because my parents were at the younger end of the family, so their parents were older, and and they were kind of at the end of their family. So, it's just the way it is. But it's
Wild when
really,
you think
really
about it.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's. But that's why I do this, and that's why I like talking to people like you to preserve uh, what we have, because we need to do that, for the younger
I'd
generations.
say this to Teddy all the time. I just wish that when I was 20 and when everybody was alive,
Ah,
everybody's gone now. There's nobody for us to ask. There's nobody, just little tidbits, that I got as a kid. If I knew now, I would have asked so many more questions. I would have written down. I would have,
well, and I tell people now, I said, now sit down there with your
yes.
grandparents, or, people have great grandparents, record them,
Yeah.
get your phone out and ask them questions, and
Oh, I
record them.
know. Yeah.
I mean, I'm the same way. I wish people say, if you could talk to anybody in history, who would you talk to? I said, my grandmother. Well, that's what I talked to. I want to find out,
True, right?
especially
Get
my
a few
father's
more
mother.
answers.
Uh, and I found out so much stuff And I asked my older cousins, "Did you ever hear this?" No, no, no,
Yeah,
no.
right.
We didn't know. Even, like I said, my Sorrentino cousins that I just found. My oldest cousin, who's like 15 years older than me, he said, "No, nobody. We didn't know." But they he knew because he said his grandmother used to tell him about it. And even when I met um, some of my Pio Malo cousins in Naples, um, my grandmother was still conversing with them, and even my aunt after my grandmother died in the 60s and early 70s. I had no idea. It makes me nuts. I
Yeah.
can't tell you how crazy it makes me.
Wealth of information died with them, right? I hate that.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but we're here. We have to keep going.
There you go.
Um,
Yeah.
so listen, guys, thanks a lot. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you for
It's a lot of
coming.
fun. It's
Well,
always a lot of
thank you,
fun.
Yeah.
Bob.
We were supposed to have a few more people, but things happen. Rocco's on. I just got a message from Rocco.
Oh yeah, I just see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Ciao, Rocco. We'll have to. He doesn't speak English, I know, but
I know.
you watch the replay. You'll watch the replay.
I told him I want to go to Italy. I'm hoping to go to Torito later this year, and I want to meet you and have a glass of wine. And I don't know how that came out when you translated it.
um,
So the most important question at the end now is Chevrolet. How do you spell that? CH what?
I believe it's Chivalet. I think that's the way it's spelled.
Okay.
But if you put in something similar to that and
Okay.
Torito or Bobby, you'll see it. You can. There is a place in New York I haven't ordered it yet. There's a place in the Bronx that actually makes it with the lamb, because you could get the thin sausage, but it's not made with lamb. This is specifically lamb, cheese, and parsley.
So Arthur Avenue?
Yeah, there's a place on Arthur Avenue. I don't remember it, but
Teddy, we gotta go.
It's the only place in the Bronx you can get Italian food is Arthur Avenue.
There's very few places in New
Yeah.
York now other than
I
the
know.
Bronx.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Not like it, and not certainly not like it used to be.
No.
That's for sure. That's for sure. So yeah, thanks
Yeah.
again. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.